Mrs. Busby adjusts her microphone, gets settled in the chair, rearranges things, and gets ready. It's Viewpoint, the program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. And we certainly have a personality, and we're going to have a perspective. We're going to keep politics out of it, unless I mouth off about how bad things are. We'll try to refrain from that this morning in the interest of propriety and also fair and balance, you know. By the way,
yes.
Time for kudos. I note that the Chamber and the Elks have combined to offer the first 200 veterans who will sign up a free balloon ride. And on behalf of my fellow veterans, and I hope some of the younger veterans will run out there. I'd like to do that if I can get my name on the list. Anyway, in conjunction with the Balloon and Art Festival, the Elks and the Chamber are offering veterans free balloon rides, and that's pretty neat. So thank you very much out there, folks. That's very nice.
Speaking of balloon rides,
yes,
this coming weekend, a friend of mine is going up to Chicago to skydive. She did so on her 75th birthday. She did so on her 85th birthday.
Irene is going to
Chicago. And Irene Tumulty is going on her 90th this weekend to skydive.
Look at the green in my eyes. That's envy. That's pure envy.
Well, I think it's just amazing. God
I do
love
that
her.
in a heartbeat.
She's this little tiny thing. She's about 3 feet tall and weighs 82 pounds or something. I don't know. She's just a little bitty thing. And she is going skydiving. Now, is that amazing?
Yeah, good for her. That's great. You know, that's something. You know, George H.W. Bush, Bush the first.
Yes.
Has jumped 2 or 3 times. I think his wife Barbara said the last time would be his last. I don't think she was very enthusiastic about that, but that's a neat thing. Irene kind of gives me inspiration, so maybe that's something I want to think about.
For your 90th, there you go.
Well, yeah, about 18 months ahead.
Hey, do you want to hear about my phone call of yesterday?
Yes. Why would you tell us about it?
Okay.
I don't want to know about your personal life, of course.
Well, I bore you to death, I can tell you that. Let me say this about that. Yesterday, I picked up the telephone, and this voice says, "Grandma?" And I said, "Yeah." And I thought, that's my name to a number of people. And he said, I said, "Who is this?" And he said, "It's your grandson." And I said, "Oh." And he talked for a little second, and I said, "Well, how are you doing?" And I said Michael to him, and because I recognized the boys' voices. It wasn't Nathan, it wasn't Thomas, it wasn't Andrew. And he said, "Well, not so well." He said, "My good friend has died, and I'm out here in Baltimore." And he said, "We were all depressed and went out last night." And he said, "Now I'm in trouble." And I said, "Oh, wait a minute." I said, "I know this scam." I said, 2 problems. You've got the wrong accent for Michael. You're East Coast accent, and he's from Minnesota. And secondly, Michael isn't my grandson, he's my nephew. And all I hear is click. So you hear about these scams where they try to get the old people. I am the old people. They tried to get me.
But you were one up on them.
But remember, it may not be your grandchild. And how they get the numbers or anything else.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing.
You can just call endlessly on a cell phone. You know, you get free long distance. So he maybe keeps dialing all day until he runs across somebody who thinks it is his grandson.
Yeah, they play the percentages. Sure enough, they'll find a greenie somewhere along the line, and some poor little old grandperson, father or mother, will wire somebody some money. Sure. And that's the end of that. So I think we probably have a call from my
not so much.
That's not our call. We're waiting on a call from a very important person, Mr. Robert Neal, going to talk to us about the Elkhart Historical Society gathering at the Neal House down in Elkhart, and that's going to be a very, very nice thing. We're going to hear more about that. In the meantime, I think we can probably interrupt our flow of conversation with our guest this morning. So
he's here now.
We do have a guest, Yes, good morning, sir.
Hi, Bill. Hi, Judy. Hi, anybody that's listening.
Yes, the both of them.
The both of them. I see a lot of people online. Yes. Now, I'm sorry I'm a little late. I got tied up in a meeting this morning, but I'm here to answer any questions or just announce the Elkhart Historical Society's next event. You know, all year long they've been hosting dinner lectures down in the village, and the September event's going to be held up in John and Joe Gelbaugh's old house that Lynn and I now try to live in. The 1837 Crowhurst, they call it mansion. I don't call it a mansion, but it's a nice and unique historic old house, and we're trying our level best to keep it upright and shed water.
Well,
Good
you
deal.
and the lovely and talented Mrs. Neal have been very gracious a year ago to open up your home and your beautiful lawn for the on behalf of the Elkhart Historical Society. Tell us good about this upcoming event now, Bob, and the date and so forth. And I think that it'd be appropriate to let us know that we certainly still have some openings for that, but it's limited. So take it from there, will you, Mr. Neal?
I shall do it. As an old newsman, I can tell you the who, what, when, and where.
There you go.
September the 9th is a Sunday evening. We will collect people down in the Elkhart parking lot down by the City Hall. The people should start arriving in the center of Elkhart about between 4 and at the very latest maybe 4:45. Mm-hmm. The event starts at 5. We have a string quartet from the Springfield area playing very nice, what would you call it, Judy or Bill, chamber music perhaps?
I dare say that's appropriate.
Last year they were just wonderful and kind of added a sense of class to the whole event.
To a lovely time.
Despite the fact that I was there and that Peter Niehaus had his overalls on.
But they were clean.
They were clean,
Well,
and he did a wonderful job.
That's Peter's tuxedo. We understand that.
That's exactly that. The event then will have food available as part of the event. There will be tea and water, of course. There will be a little cash bar if you have a Sunday night beverage of that kind. We plan to stay in the yard just having kind of a communal time and listening to the music and talking to one another. And we've been getting lovely sunsets, and hopefully this year's 7:30 sunset will be as good as last year's was. And then the exciting part, and Bill and Judy will remember this, was getting everybody back down the hill in the dark.
Yes,
So,
that was a fun little scramble.
Well, and the event has to... The tough part is getting, we had a little over 100 people last year, and we carted everybody up the hill to the house and the lawn. The south lawn's about 3 acres, so it's plenty of space. And it gives a lovely view of the sunset to the west this time of the year. But we had to get people up in whatever way we could, so we used wagons and carts and golf carts and everything possible. This year we're going to try something different, but I'm not allowed to tell you what it is.
Oh.
So go to the civic parking lot right in the center of Elkhart. We'll find a place to park your car. There'll be somebody there to direct you for the next step, and we'll get you up there one way or the other, and it'll be a little bit more free-flowing this year.
Well, you're taking some of the fun and the mystique out of it.
Well,
Now, I kind of like crawling up in that big high wagon.
Well, that's an option that'll still be there, I suspect. And a guy with your agility and youthfulness has no problem with that.
You're smoking against stuff early this morning, aren't you?
I've looked for it, but they didn't have any at Cracker Barrel this morning. So it's Sunday from 5 to 8.
Okay.
It's $30 a person, and the money goes after expenses to the Elkhart Historical Society, which you and Judy know. If you live in a small town, you've got to be involved. And of all the things I've been involved in, I think the Elkhart Historical Society really provides a really big benefit to the little village of Elkhart.
Oh, a neat group.
And it's a lot of fun besides that. And there are, as kind of a eclectic group of local citizens. Steve and Kathy Thornton are on it, and they live in the new area of the hill. Gillette Ransom's been a rock since the word Elkhart and history were put together. Andrea and Peter Niehaus are the other two that solidified the deal, and they asked Lynn and I to be on the board when they heard the rumor that we were coming south a couple of years ago. And so we just do the light stuff, like do the announcements and mow the yard and stuff like that.
Yes, and serve as gracious host for this big fundraiser.
It's a fun deal. We expect we're not yet sold out, but last year most of the ticket sales happened in the last 2 weeks. We would like to cut ticket sales off around September the 1st or 2nd, so we can make provisions for how much food and drink to have on the site.
Now, Bob, where would we get tickets at this late day?
That's a great question, Bill. You being the consummate professional know to ask the right question.
You're still smoking that heavy stuff.
Yeah. And now I got to make it straight. I've never smoked anything in my life, including a Pell Mell. The reservations can be secured by dialing 217-947-2238. 947-2238. Then you can go on the internet, and there's an active and well-preserved website there. You just type in Elkhart Historical Society. You can Google it, all one word, and it's one of the first things that pops up. And you can fill your reservation out and mail it in by just printing the reservation, write yourself a check for $30 a person. And about 3/4 of the reservations are already taken, and I'm not just saying that as a salesman. I'm telling you the truth.
I like truth. That's
truth
good.
is good.
Well, that's why, and coincidentally, you're successful at every Dijon. You give them the straight talk.
Well,
so we appreciate that.
We try that. So,
Bob, thank you very much.
You're all very welcome. Thanks for allowing us a few seconds on your popular program.
Well, it's an important thing to promote.
Yep.
So we're glad to have it right straight from the host here as to what they can do. 947-2238, I believe. So thank you very much, Bob Neal, for telling us about the big promotion for the Elkhart Historical Society.
Okay.
Have yourself a good day, brother.
Goodbye, all.
Bye-bye. Right-o. Now, Mrs. Busby, thank you. By the way, that is a fun thing to do. We have a very nice, very comely young lady here sitting across from us, who's our guest this morning, and is going to talk to us about matters of health, specifically how we stand straighter and so forth. Why don't you introduce our nice guest this morning?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this.
Yes.
I met Dr. Alyssa Schneider before she was Dr. Alyssa Schneider. And we have known her for lots of years, and it's very nice to renew that acquaintanceship. Thanks so much for coming. Dr. Schneider is a chiropractor here in Lincoln, and one of the things that she has undertaken is kinesiotaping. Now, the word might sound a little strange to you, but all the watching that was done of the Olympics, people saw lots of that. Many of the athletes had this bright colored pink or blue tape on them, running vertically, horizontally, and everybody, I think, to the man, was saying, what's the deal with the tape? So that's one thing you can answer for us, among others.
Sure.
Let's have that kinesiotaping.
We're going to start right out there. Okay. All right.
Well,
what do should I stand up and show them?
you want to show off your tape? Well, first of all, we did see a lot of it in the Olympics, and I think that's the first year that I've seen it that heavy on almost all the athletes. And a lot of them, people missed it on because the tape was nude color, so it blended in with their skin.
But the pink and blue
that stood out
right there in front of you.
I'm disappointed. I could only get black.
Oh dear!
He's disappointed. He asked for pink, and I was out of pink.
So what'd you do? Use electrical tape on him?
Yeah, duct tape. It was actually all it is duct tape. Well, let's not be facetious about this, because this. I don't know how new this is to chiropractic medicine or physical medicine. I don't really know anything at all about it, except if that's the first we saw it was on the Olympics films. So let's go to that and the origin of that and what its intended purpose is, Doctor.
Sure. Well, it's been around for a while. It's just starting to really catch hold in the last several years. I think you see it more and more. But I remember even, 8 years ago at the Olympics, or even before that, there was a couple people you would see with the kinesio tape on. And it was invented by a guy named Kenzo Casey.
Can you define the word kinesio, please?
Well, kinesio tape is kind of a play off of his name.
Kinetic?
Well, and kinesiology is the study of movement of the body. So that's where that name comes from. It's
Okay. So it facilitates or regulates the movements that you're going to make, and those athletes were making some kind of movements.
It does. I'll tell you, anybody asks this question, it's kind of a loaded question. There's a lot of different things that the tape can be used for. It can be used to strengthen a muscle that's, tired. And in athletes, a lot of times that's why you'll see that. Some of their muscles that they're overusing are tired and they need a little help. You can use it to, if you have a tight muscle, to take some of that tightness out of the muscle, to inhibit some of that. You can use it for structural correction. So, if you've got a knee that's a little weak on one side, you can tape that to help with support in that joint. And the most interesting, I really think, of the kinesio tape is that it helps to reduce inflammation. So it'll actually help pull inflammation out of an area.
Is it because of the makeup and design of the tape? Is the tape a special different recipe than Johnson & Johnson adhesive tape?
Yes, it is. It's 100% cotton tape. But the tape has 140% elasticity, so it's got some stretch to it. And the way the tape stretches, it will pull in a certain direction the way you lay it down. And that elasticity coupled with the way you apply it is what results in the...
And just because we won't probably be entering the Olympics in 4 years, Bill and I.
Well, don't
maybe
say that.
But on the off chance that we don't, if I dare say, Bill has some, because he has these back spasms that make his face grimace.
Yes, he does.
And so you don't have to go to the Olympics to get this.
No.
Tell us about people like Bill.
No, not everything.
Well,
gosh, not everything.
I'm not going to say much because, well, he's brought it up
right,
already,
Doctor,
so I'm not violating anything there. But in his case, we've got that tape on there to help with some of the inflammation that's there in the lower back. That'll help to... Inflammation in our bodies is what causes pain. Those inflammatory cells causes pain. So if we can get rid of some of those, that'll reduce your pain level. Also, on his back, that's helping with some muscle spasm. So, helping to reduce some of that muscle spasm.
Now, our number is 648-5510, and if you have any more questions on kinesio taping or what have you, feel free to give us a call, please. But I'd like to ask you on a whole different subject about posture. I know my dad was a big one for whacking you right between the shoulder blades if you slouched, which did get your attention.
It did, and he was really doing you a great service.
He did a lot of great services to me, didn't he, Bill?
Yes,
he did.
That
Ken was
so.
into service. And my own kids, I'd gripe at if they slouched. And I see today teenagers slouching, and that it becomes a habit or a way of life or something, how important is your posture to your overall health?
It's extremely important. It's something that's often overlooked, but it is extremely important. If you think about structurally with the body, there's a lot of things that are structurally important. Our spine and, our joints, but our spine has certain curves in it to help support the weight of the body, to help support forces downward. Muscles are in balance on either side of it, and they pull equally on both sides. Everything should be in balance. And when you lose that posture, some of the structural ways that our body deals with downward force and stress and weight, the muscles get out of balance, and that's where you run into a pain situation. You see a lot, you said teenagers, and also I see it a lot with people that work at a desk all day, and they have their head down and they have their shoulders rounded, and you lose that posture and you have a muscle imbalance issue.
Can it affect your internal organs as well?
I would say in the extreme, I suppose, possibly not typically, but you have to remember that anytime your body is under any kind of stress, that does always have an effect on organs and your whole body system. And stress can be pain, so that that's stress on your body. Physical stress, emotional stress, anything like that can cause.
Stress is what gets you out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Gets you moving.
But yes, I would say no. I wouldn't be so concerned with that. But structurally, and dealing on a pain level, yes, posture is a key factor in a lot of people's pain.
I'd like to take the word chiropractic, doctor, and tell us exactly.
Would you like to know what it means?
Define chiropractic for us, Dr. Schneider.
Chiropractic, in its origin, means to work with your hands, to practice with your hands, chiropractic. And that's what we do. Work on people with our hands. We adjust the spine. We adjust extremities, arms, legs, knees, feet, with our hands. So that's where that came from. When chiropractic was invented, they were looking for a name for it, and
it's an ancient healing art.
It is, yes.
Now, one does not say, well, I'm going to be a chiropractor and become a chiropractor. Tell us about your background and education that it takes to get in your profession, Dr. Schneider.
Sure. Well, I have a bachelor's in biology. I got that from UIS in Springfield. I was going to say St. Louis. That would not be right.
Not so much.
And I then went to St. Louis for my chiropractic degree, and that's another just under 4 years.
So it's intense.
It is, and I tell you that the program that I went through is actually a 5-year program that they cram into just under 4.
So
they're on
you go
trimesters,
year-round
year
then?
round, yes, and 3 trimesters then per year. So total 8 years is what I went to school. It was very intense.
Yes, it is.
The spine is an incredible piece of machinery. Tell us, going from top down to the bottom, the various components of the spine.
Of the spine.
And how important, critical they are to what we do.
They're very critical.
We're not walking without it. So.
No. Unfortunately, no. You're not walking without it. Well, top to bottom, the first part of the spine is the cervical section, which is your neck. There's 7 vertebrae there. And we know the spinal cord runs through the spine. So, coming from the neck, you have a lot of the nerves that run to the face, into the neck, and down into the arm. Those are really important for function of your, hands and arms, movement of your face and that kind of thing. And then you move down into the next section is the thoracic spines. Excuse me. My allergies are acting up in here today.
Oh, maybe it's the kitty cat.
She's not here.
Well, it's fine. I'm used to it. My allergies act up a lot. And then you, like I said, the thoracic spine. There's 12 vertebrae there. That's the biggest chunk of your spine there. Right in the middle. And that has nerves that run from the spinal cord out to your midsection. So in your torso, the organs there in your chest cavity. And then below that, you have the lumbar spine. There's 5 vertebrae there. A lot of people are familiar with the lumbar spine. Lower back complaints is very common. And that then sends nerves out to legs, feet, lower section of your body.
And at the bottom of the whole setup is the tailbone, or isn't that called the coccyx?
The sacrum and coccyx, yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And
Well,
now,
she's a learned girl, isn't she?
is that really?
I'm impressed.
Is that really some vestige of old? Was that really, did we used to have tails? Why do we have that? And people break it and then it hurts.
People break it, yes. That's, I guess I didn't do my full duty there. I should have explained that is part of the spine. That's the lower section that's below the lumbar spine. There's 5 segments of your sacrum, and then the coccyx is below that. Those segments fuse together to make that tailbone. I'm not sure about the tail comment. I'm going to leave that one alone. But it does have function. It has function with the pelvis. The hips and pelvis make a joint with your sacrum there. So that allows us to move, allows our pelvis to move, allows us to walk around. So it does have a function other than used to be a tail.
Other than breaking.
Other than breaking also, yeah. Yeah, it does.
In your practice, Alyssa, do you see a preponderance of lower back problems as opposed to other areas in the back?
I would say it's kind of a toss-up between the neck and the lower back. The lower back is common. A lot of people will come in for the lower back, I think, more than the neck. I think some people are a little scared of having their neck moved around.
Yes, I understand that.
And I can and I tell all my patients that.
Yeah.
I can understand.
What about people who, I read once about some mother having left the hospital with her newborn, and the first stop was at the chiropractor's office.
Yes.
To have this newborn adjusted. Now, I'm sure to be born is a tough job.
Yes.
I don't doubt that a bit. But what would your comment be on adjusting newborns?
Well, I never heard of that.
Yeah, I heard of it.
Well.
It's actually more common than you think. A lot of people
Really?
get that done. Yes. And my comment would be, great. I think it's a great thing to do.
Do you?
You're starting your child out, yes. And the thing about it is, you're right. Being born is a lot of stress on that little body. And a lot of times they're...
Oh, when you look at a newborn, their face is not happy.
No.
They know they've been put through the ringer.
They have been put through the ringer. A lot of times there's a lot of pulling and tugging, a little bit there with the neck and the head. there is, just getting through the birthing canal for a baby is a lot of stress on them. And you have to remember that a lot of things on them is that it's not fully developed. It wouldn't be like our spines and necks and heads and joints going through something like that. So a lot of times they will have issues. Things are moved. They have some subluxation.
Some what now?
I knew that was gonna that was gonna draw attention.
Sure did me.
Subluxation is a term that we use in chiropractic. Actually, it's used in the medical world all over for, put simply, a joint not moving properly or being out of place. So a lot of times those babies will have that, and that's where you see a lot of babies with colic. A lot of times that can be linked to some issues with their spine or, neck. Ear infections is another one, big in kids, that is very strongly linked to subluxations in the neck.
Because why?
Because this is hard to put into a short time frame here, but I will try.
The Reader's Digest version's hard to come up with, isn't it?
It is. Our bodies are very complex.
Yeah.
But
There that.
we've talked about the spine and the spinal cord and the nerves coming out of the spinal cord. And we know that nerves control a lot of our body. We know, just think of a paralysis patient, what they lose truly. And it's not always just movement, but function in some cases. So on a small scale, when you lose motion of a joint or you have a joint out of place, that'll irritate the nerves, which will then, I'm sorry, I thought somebody was talking to me. I thought there was something in the background. It'll irritate the nerves, and that will cause change in function. So we've all heard of a pinched nerve.
Yes.
Yeah, pinched is what Dizzy Dean said.
Pinched. And that's more of a case of, still in this case, that irritates the nerve. The tingling and the lightning-like pain that you get with a pinched nerve is the same thing that I'm talking about there. That's a change in function of that nerve. So same thing with anything else, but it can manifest in other ways besides, pain down the leg, as we think of with a pinched nerve in the lower back. So that irritation on the nerves in the neck can cause those, for instance, the earaches that I was talking about before.
Really?
And a lot of children are put on an antibiotic for this. But a lot of times when we adjust the neck, you've got me onto a whole nother subject here. I love this one. I love talking about this one.
Good.
When we adjust the neck, there are muscles that run that will open up the ear canal. A lot of times when you have irritation of the nerve, those muscles aren't working right, so they won't open up the ear canal. So you'll get that clogging, and it'll manifest just like a regular ear infection, but when you adjust the neck, it opens up the ear canal, and then situation, crisis averted.
Well,
At this point in time, Judith K., our good clients out there are going to give us an adjustment if we don't take a commercial break.
Oh.